This is the North American service of Radio Moscow, broadcasting on 17.70, 15.45, 15.42, 15.14, 12.05, 9.87, 9.76, 9.72, 9.70, 7.32, 7.18, 7.15, 7.11, and 6.11 megahertz.
This is Radio Moscow. Here is the news. First, the headlines. The Political Bureau of the Soviet Communist Party Central Committee has discussed practical issues of the country's home and foreign policy. There were anti-racist actions in South Africa to mark International Day of Struggle Against Racial Discrimination on Thursday. And Israeli troops have carried out new raids on populated centers in southern Lebanon. Those are the headlines. Now here's the news in full. The Political Bureau of the Soviet Communist Party Central Committee has discussed at its regular meeting ways of putting the country's home and foreign policy into effect. It considered tasks ensuing from the decisions adopted by the party's Central Committee at its special plenary meeting on March the 11th. It noted that the meeting's decisions were aimed at mobilizing all forces to achieve a major progress in efforts to intensify the economy and speed up the social and economic advancement of the Soviet people. The meeting specifically stressed the need for greater labor, state, and party discipline, and for firm actions against any manifestation of sham efficiency, irresponsibility, and everything that is against the socialist norms of life. On foreign policy, the Soviet Communist Party and government will, as before, take care of and strengthen in every way the close friendship with its allies and give priority to the socialist countries in foreign affairs. The Political Bureau also noted that at their talks with leaders of many countries, Mikhail Gorbachev, Nikolai Tikhonov, and Andrei Gromyko had energetically restated the Soviet Union's consistent course towards consolidating peace and establishing equal relations between nations. The Political Bureau emphasized the need for multiplying and accelerating efforts to prevent an arms race in space and stop it on Earth. It's precisely towards this end that the Soviet Union will apply its efforts at the Soviet-American talks that have just started in Geneva. The Political Bureau has approved Vladimir Sherbetsky's account of the visit to the United States by a Supreme Soviet delegation. The delegation carried out extensive work during its meetings and talks with administration officials and congressmen, as well as American public figures and businessmen. They clarified the Soviet Union's principal position on its relations with the United States and on major international problems, above all those of stopping the nuclear arms race and preventing the militarization of space. The Political Bureau called for furthering ties with the United States at various levels, the top legislative bodies included, to better understanding, promote mutually advantageous cooperation between the two countries, and to consolidate peace. The Soviet Foreign Minister Andrei Gromyko has received the United States Ambassador Arthur Hartman at his request. The discussion centered on various aspects of Soviet-American relations, questions connected with the Geneva talks on nuclear and space weapons, and some urgent international problems of interest to both countries. A meeting has taken place here in Moscow between a delegation of the Soviet Communist Party, led by a candidate member of the Political Bureau, Boris Ponomarev, and the Consultative Council for Disarmament of the Socialist International. The council is headed by the Vice President of the Socialist International and Chairman of the Social Democratic Party of Finland, Kalevi Sorsa. The two sides discussed the issues of strengthening peace and curbing the arms race. A number of Belgian anti-missile movements has announced the setting up of a peace camp near the U.S. missile base at Rouen. The camp will be there from the 7th through the 14th of next month. The action is planned to show the authorities that the Belgian people demand the immediate withdrawal of American cruise missiles from their country. There were anti-racist demonstrations, marches, protests, and strikes in South Africa to mark International Day of Struggle Against Racial Discrimination on Thursday. The day was instituted by the United Nations in memory of the victims of police violence against a peaceful demonstration of Africans in Sharpeville on March the 21st, 1960. As it was 25 years ago, the police opened fire this time on inhabitants of Langa community, the Cape Province, who were on their way to a funeral of victims to racist terror. According to reports, more than 40 people were killed and many were injured. Hundreds of Israeli soldiers, supported by tanks and armored personnel carriers, have raided a number of South Lebanese communities. They killed more than 20 people in two communities near Nabatea alone. The Israelis opened fire on cars driven by local and foreign newsmen, killing 2 journalists. A quadripartite meeting of representatives of Algeria, Libya, Democratic Yemen, and Syria has ended in Damascus. According to the news agency Sana, it mapped out joint measures to counter the dangerous plans of imperialism, Zionism, and their stooges in the region. In Kabul, the security forces have released captured documents that expose United States involvement in the undeclared war against Afghanistan. The Bakhtar news agency cites a letter in which the leader of a group of bandits operating in Afghanistan asks his boss in Pakistan to send instructors on the use of American rockets. In another message, counter-revolutionary bandits request American military advisors' help in areas of fighting. The Pentagon is reported to have drawn up plans for another military exercise near the Nicaraguan border. The exercise will involve ground forces, warplanes, and warships of the United States and Honduras. Troop landing and airborne assault will be simulated. The exercise will get underway toward the end of next month. At the moment, the United States and Honduras are staging the Big Pine 3 exercise near the Nicaraguan border. The annual rate of inflation in the United States has more than doubled since the year began, compared to the previous 3 months, and now stands at 5.4%. According to the figures released by the Department of Commerce in Washington, there has been a sharp decline in the rate of gross national product growth. The Standing Commission of the Council for Mutual Economic Assistance on Foreign Trade has had a regular meeting in Moscow. The communique says the mutual deliveries of goods last year provided for stable economic growth in the socialist countries. The commodities exchange between the 10 nations of Europe, Asia, and America belonging to the Council has risen by 11% since 1983. A news conference dedicated to the 40th anniversary of the victory over Nazism has been given here in Moscow. Deputy Chairman of the State Planning Agency, Nikolai Lebedinsky, told the news conference that following the Nazi attack on the Soviet Union, over 1,500 enterprises were moved east from the western parts of the country in spite of enemy air raids. By the second year of the war, the Soviet Union was way ahead of Nazi Germany in the manufacture of arms. To end the news, the headlines once again. The Political Bureau of the Soviet Communist Party Central Committee has discussed practical issues of the country's home and foreign policy. There are anti-racist actions in South Africa to mark International Day of Struggle Against Racial Discrimination on Thursday. And Israeli troops have carried out new raids on populated centers in southern Lebanon. That's the news from Moscow.